Welcome to the final project presentation for UWM InfoST 490 Senior Capstone. This presentation is for Team vape108. Our client is a vape shop located in West Allis, Wisconsin, who is looking to expand his sales and his reach beyond his physical location. Our task was to help him get launched with an online store to take advantage of internet sales. Our client is vape108. Team vape108 consisted of the following team members: Michael Prest, Sharon Morgano, Samantha Miller, Adam Codette, and Kurt Baldwin. Our presentation is going to take a look at a few different areas of our project, including the system itself, documentation for the system, and some of the coding that we did on the back end. Let's go ahead and take a look at our first section, which is system functionality. You know, as a customer, I want to be able to go online and look at the products that this company offers. That's one of our user statements that we can use to help us identify what is our system all about. So let's take a look at what our system offers. A website that's easy to use is very important today for our consumers to be able to find information on your products that you offer. Let's go ahead and take a look at our website. It's shopvape108.com. Some of the functionality that we have here that you can see when you go to that website, you'll notice in the black bar towards the top there is different categories of different mods, different juices, different tanks, and different accessories. And when you hover over some of them, you get a drop down that appears. Those are just subcategories that fall under that. For example, I'm looking at the juices right now and I can see different manufacturers, different vendors of juice are listed there. So if the particular customer is looking for a particular type of juice, they can go to the type of juice that they're familiar with, or but just by clicking on the juice category heading, it'll give them a list of all of the things that are in that category, as you can see here. Another way that they can use this site is by the search bar, and if you want to search for a particular flavor of juice, I'm going to search for pomegranate, and just to see what comes up. And you can see here that on our site now we have two different results that came up for pomegranate. When I click on one of them, it's going to take me into some details of that particular type of juice. And you can see here some information. It shows me that this is available. It's in stock at the location. I have different bottle sizes that I can choose, and different nicotine strengths as well that I can choose. And it does give me the option then to add it to my cart. It also gives me an option to add it to a wish list, or I can add it to a compare list. We're going to go ahead and talk about some of the other functionality that the customers will be able to experience if they log in, or if they have an account with vape108. In the header bar there is an option called My Account, and if you don't have an account already, it's very simple to do. There's instructions on how to become a new customer. Clicking on the Create Account, populate the information. It's basically first name, last name, email address, and your password. I've already set up an account though, so let me go ahead and log in using my user email address and password, and clicking on the login button. And this gives you a dashboard that you can go and view a snapshot of your recent account activity, update your account information, and other things. One of the things that you'll notice, I also have a item in my wish list, kind of pointing it out right there, that if I want to come back and look at something in that pomegranate juice is one of the things that I selected earlier for my wish list, that I have it there, that I don't have to continue to search for it. So those are some things that our customers can do when they access the site, either with or without an account. Now that we see what the customer expects when they go to our site and how they can navigate and use the tools on there, let's turn our focus over to the client, or the owner of the company. As the owner of the company, I need to be able to add a new product that I begin to sell. So let's take a look at how the owner can do that through our site.
once you set up a new category for a new product line, you can go ahead and now add the actual product into the Magento website. In order to do that, you would go up to Catalog, Manage Products. You would click Add a Product. In this case, we're going to be adding a new juice line. So we would select juice from the attribute set, and we would want to add it as a configurable product. Click Continue, and we would select both the bottle size and nicotine strength as attributes we want into that product. Go ahead and click Continue. So we'll be adding a new product called bubblegum. Now this is a starter product, which means we're not going to go ahead and add the nic levels to this product until later. So what we want is just a base product. In this case, it's just bubblegum. We will go ahead and just simply put in the description and sort description as bubblegum. Now this is what the user will see, so you'll want to add this to whatever your product. SKU, we'll go ahead and add bubblegum. Again, each product will have a unique SKU number. In this case, we're just going to start as bubblegum. But that won't actually show when customers order the product, because when they select the nic level and the bottle size, it will have its own custom SKU. So status, we want enabled. And visibility, we want catalog and search. Next, you want to click inventory and set the stock availability to in stock. And if we miss anything, which we probably will, in this case, we'll just leave the price blank. But you will see a little red star next to it. So if I went and hit save and continue, it's going to ask me to enter in the required forms. So we'll go ahead and do that. In this case, product cost or retail is $6.63. And you can see the tax class also is a required field. So we'll go ahead and select it as a taxable good. We'll go ahead and hit save and continue. And the product has been successfully saved. So now we have to add all the different nic levels to the juice line for bubblegum. And in order to do that, we would click Associated Products. And this is where we create the individual SKUs and set the nic levels for the juice line. So in this case, we do not want them to randomly configure the name or auto-generate it. We are going to create our own name for it. So in this case, it will be bubblegum 0 milligram with the SKU of the same. We will set the weight to whatever the weight specifications require and set the status to enabled. And we want to set this to not visible individually. So only the main product that we set initially shows, and this is the configurable products under the drop-down list. For bottle size, it is 15. Nicotine strength, set that as 0 to correspond with the name. And the quantity is 3, and it's in stock. So we will go ahead and click Quick Create, and it will now add a configurable product at the bottom. So now, if we go back to the main website, refresh it, and go under, well, first we'll go under Juice, and you'll see bubblegum has been added to the juice, but we can also select blue chip and add it, and you can see it's added there as well. So if we click on bubblegum, you'll see the bottle size set to 15 milligram, and the nicotine strength is 0 and 6. So all we would have to do is continue adding new products.
Now that we've seen at least one thing that a client is going to use this site for, and we will see more as we go through this presentation, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is going to be system documentation. It's important for us to document all the features and functionality of our tool for our client. Once we're complete with this project, the client will need to take over these functions to be able to use our work in the future. Also, as he tries to upskill all of his employees, the documentation is going to come in very handy. So let's take a look at some of the documentation that we've created. One note I will add, some of the documentation is in Word document form, and some of it is in video form. We did that on purpose so that the client has multiple ways of reviewing the information, either in a visual manner or in a step-by-step chart kind of a flow for him to follow, as depending on the technological abilities of everyone at that site. So let's take a look at our first user story. As the owner of the company, I need to be able to upload photos for the products that I sell. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that. As you saw earlier in our presentation, we were looking at the vape108 website, and we were looking at a product that our customer was searching for, and on the website it gave us a message that says image not displayed or image coming soon. As a consumer, that's very frustrating because they want to be able to get information about that product and see what it looks like to make sure that's the correct one that we have. So one of the things that we also provided for our client for future use is when he's setting this up after this project is over and he needs to go ahead and add new products and or maybe change the image or add images to images that don't exist yet in the site. We had some client operation documentation on some just different functions that they can do, including one of them that I mentioned we would go over, which is adding images. And we walked through going through the Magento admin panel and making those changes to those accounts. And you can see here we have them documented with screenshots for anyone in the future who's going to be at that location to be able to add images. Going to catalog in the menu bar, managing the products, finding the product and clicking on edit, finding the images option in the menu, and just really basically just following the step-by-step instructions on how to do that, how to upload that photo to the website so a customer can go out and actually see the product that they're looking at. As you can see, the adding images to the site for certain products does appear to be very simple, and that's going to just give our website a much more polished look and satisfy our customers by allowing them to see what they're looking for. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at another situation that our customers may need documentation for. As the owner of the company, I need to be able to ensure that I only sell to adults over 18 years of age. So let's take a look at the documentation that we have that deals with the age verification form that's on the site.
One of the tasks that we had with creating this website was to include some age verification for the website to block access to the site and the viewing of the content from anyone who is under the age of 18, which is the legal age to view this information. For those that did answer, yes, they were over 18, they were allowed into the site. If they were not over 18, then it would redirect them to another site, which we currently had set up as Disney.com. But the owner may want to make changes to that. He may want to change the look of the pop-up box, may want to change the logo. So we have documentation that we created for the owner to do all that, and this just walks them through these steps on how to configure that document. I'm just going to go ahead and show you what we have in the documentation. I'm not going to walk through all of the steps, but it is listed in here, and this document will include the following topics. We'll tell them how to turn on and off the age gate verification, how they can set the expiration of the cookies for the verification period so that the pop-up can occur more frequently, or it could be a little bit slower depending on the owner's preferences. Flexibility to select what pages the pop-up is required. They may decide in the future to add some just general information pages that doesn't have any content that would be restricted to minors, and they may want to turn off the age verification for that. Setting the text for the agree and disagree pop-up buttons, define images, as I mentioned before, and set that redirect page. So in this document, again, it'll walk you through the steps on how to configure the settings. The settings are configured on the back end of the Magento admin panel, so it requires them to log in using their username and password and selecting the configuration option. And in the menu on the left side of their screen, there will be the AgeGate pop-up verification settings, which they will choose. In this document, again, we do have all of the documentation as to how to accomplish all those tasks that were mentioned at the beginning of this document in here. And this is provided to the owner, where he will be able to go back and configure any of those pages as he sees fit in the future.
Keeping our clients safe from the law when in regards to who can access the site is very important. And as you can see, the documentation makes it very easy for them to update that age verification if things would change in the future. Let's take a look at another type of situation where we have documentation for. This time we're going to look at it in a video format. As the owner of the company, I need to be able to control who can access the site to make updates. Let's take a look at what that looks like.
Sometimes it's necessary to create new users that have access to the back end of your website. In this case, we have to create a new back end login information for a plugin for the shipping API. So to create a new user account, you'd go to System, Permissions, Users. And you can see the list of existing users. So click Add New User, and you will set up a new user. In this case, we're going to call it Stamps. And we will call it Stamps.com. Email address, shipping@vape108.com. Current admin password, and set up a new password for this one. In this case, we'll set one up. Current active. So we want to assign a user role to this new account. In this case, we want to set it up as an administrator. Just click Save User. Oh, need 7 characters. Okay. That should be long enough. Whoops. And now we have a new user saved and ready to go for Stamps.
Now that we see how we can edit the access to the site by adding admin accounts, let's take a look at our next user story. As the owner of the company, I need to be able to add new attributes such as a new bottle size. Definitely as changes happen, we need to be able to keep up with those changes. So let's take a look at how we're going to do that by creating a new attribute set.
Managing attribute sets is fairly straightforward. However, if you have a new juice line and you need to integrate new attribute sets like increased nick level or a different variance of nick level for a juice line, you're going to have to edit that through the attribute set. In order to do that, you want to go up to Catalog, Attributes, Manage Attributes. In the attribute list, you'll see the juice bottle size as well as the juice nick level. If I click on juice nick level, you'll see all the configuration for the juice nick level, and then you'll see Manage Label Options. If you click on Manage Label Options, you will see all the listed NIC levels for all juice lines that have that attribute. In order to add a new attribute, all you would have to do is hit Add Option. In Add Option, you would type in the NIC level that you would like. In this case, it's going to be 18 milligrams, and we're going to classify that as strong. Oops. Now the position does matter, so you can see we're going to have to put that in between 7 and 8. So in order to do that, we would change the position to 7, and then, oops, to 8. And then we would have to change that one to 9. So it would appear right after the 15 milligram. So we would go ahead and hit Save and Continue. And it resets. Then you would just go back to Manage Label to verify that the NIC level is added. So now when you add a new product, that NIC level will be there.
As you're able to see in that last video, creating some new attributes definitely is something that the client will need to be able to do, in addition to what we saw prior to that as adding products. We are providing the client also additional documentation, videos and documents that are not being presented in this presentation today, but letting them know a lot of the other minor functionality of the Magento website so that they can use it to their fullest advantage. We're going to go ahead and move on though to our last section of this video, which is going to help us understand how did we get to that point. And that information is all about the system code. In this section here, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the background coding that was needed to be done via PHP, via CSS, and via HTML that was done on the site, as well as some information about how the site is hosted. So we'll go ahead and move on and see, first of all, the overview of the hosting of the site.
The code that makes up the vape108 e-commerce website currently sits on GoDaddy hosting under the domain shop.vape108.com. Currently it has 23,000 files on it for the toolkit, and if I go actually to the file manager, you can see all the files there, and from there it acts as an FTP connection. You can change and edit the files directly through their file manager, or you can actually use an FTP connection using FileZilla or another application. In order to set up the e-commerce site, we had to set up a database, a relational database, and we labeled it vape108 Magento, and the size is currently 17 megs, and we have the team who all have admin privileges to make modifications to that relational database if needed. And the relational database is here, basically shows all the tables created during the installation, and you can see I've hit admin users, and this is basically back-end logins to the actual website. So that's a brief overview of the actual installation and the code.
In addition to hosting the site, it's also important that the site looks pretty and is easy for the customers to use. So let's take a look at some of the CSS updates that we had to make.
For our CSS design, we decided to go with a free design through the Magento Connect Marketplace. And one of the benefits that the CMS has is the ability to really kind of plug and play install the themes without having to do a lot of back-end CSS code work. And then for vape108 especially, they don't have the tools or resources to really hire an outside web development team to custom design their theme. So we wanted to make it as easy as possible for them to not only change the website front face, but also customize it to their liking without having to know how to custom designed CSS themes. So as you can see here, we picked a theme which was based off of a jewelry store, and one of the nice functionality of the Magento website is the ability to basically copy the installation key for whatever design that they want to choose in the website and log in through their downloader. Once we enabled that theme, basically this was the default website, the static look of it, which changed it quite dramatically from the original design or the default design. So I'm going to, just for an example here, just show the home slider here. And you can see here it kind of gives a visual representation of what that actual widget looks like on the website, and it's basically one of the three here. In fact, I think it's this one right here. So we wanted to give the client an ability to change that and customize it without really hard coding it or hiring somebody to do that. And to do that, basically all we have to do here is change or edit the actual photo. So if I right click and go insert or edit image, it's going to ask me, well, okay, well, where do you want it? You can go through there, or you can, let's see here. We can browse for the image here. So here's the image URL that's already in there. We can set it to any URL we want, but in this case, Magento has the ability to basically plug and play. Throw in photos directly into like a storage root directory of the website, and that can be added directly. They can take a picture, put it on their hard drive, and then just upload that file directly. In this case, I've already added one, which was right here. So we're going to go ahead and use that and insert that file. It's asking for an image description, so we'll go ahead and say, yeah, it's new vape line. Okay, we'll go ahead and click update. And then as you can see here, the actual image is changed. The sizing is a little bit different, but again, it'll just put a little white space in it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and continue here real quick, just to show you how easy it is to change it. So now when I refresh the main website, you can see, well, they've got an image that they can change right there. We can actually go into the HTML if we want to, into the CSS, and change the store URL, so we can make that a clickable link if we want. We can also change the layout of how it looks directly on the websites. So this applies to basically every block in the theme. So if I were to go, we'll go back here now, to each one of these blocks, each one of these is customizable. So they can add or change the Call Us Today module, which is right up here. They can change these picture modules. Everything is customizable through the back end, and that's how we want it, is basically as plug and play as possible, but also giving that functionality of manually editing the CSS theme if you needed to. So it has the power and functionality of both.
In addition to making the site look pretty for our customers, the client also required some functionality to allow him to be able to ship the product out to the customer. So an important piece of the project for our client was integration with stamps.com and allowing them to create shipping labels, which did require some coding on the back end, as we're going to see now.
Stamps.com has created a nice little PHP plugin that integrates with Magento for all shipping information. So we'll be able to batch report all the shipping orders from Magento directly into the Stamps.com API. But in order to do this, we have to add the PHP to the back end of our website and then set it up through the application. So in order to set up this PHP, we have to put it in to our main website. So we'll go ahead and do that through an FTP connection to the website. So we'll go ahead and add that over to the main root directory of our website. The requirement for the Stamps PHP requires a HTTPS connection. So you have to make sure that that certificate is issued for the website in order to work. Once we uploaded it to the website, we can now begin integrating it into the stamps.com application. In order to do that, we have to manage data sources and go to Add Source. We have to create a new data source. In this case, we're going to be creating a new Magento data source. We'll go ahead and label the store vape108 Magento. Here we have to provide the secure store location address with the stamps.php that we uploaded to the website. In this case, it's shop.vape108.com, stamps.php. And we created a special user just for this called Stamps. We'll go ahead and continue. And the profile's been successfully configured. So now that we added the web store to our application, we can begin batch processing orders directly into the stamps.com for shipping label printing. And as you can see, the Magento Vape 108 store is now added to the batch processing. So once we do have orders, all we have to do is click Import Orders, and orders will populate the list for printing and shipping.
As we went through all of those videos, including the stamps.com, the CSS files, the hosting information, in addition to the documentation that we put together, I hope you can see that we did our best to try to make this as easy for the client as possible, and given him some tools that he can use with his team in his location and help him increase his online sales around the world. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this presentation. Thank you very much for joining us for today. Again, this was Team Vape 108 UWM Info ST Course 490 Senior Capstone Presentation.